4 years and 10 months ago, Newsfirst reported on what would later be described as the biggest financial scam ever to be inflicted upon the people of independent Sri Lanka. Within days of Newsfirst reporting on the deviation of due process, conflict of interest on the part of Governor Arjuna Mahendran and his son-in-law Arjun Aloysius, the then Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe made a special statement in Parliament.
I insisted on a public auction because private placements have led to corruption and lack of transparency.
The Prime Minister acknowledged that he had appointed the Pitipana Committee, which consisted of 3 lawyers with known loyalties to the United National Party and unknown expertise in the operations of the central bank and the issuance of bonds. This committee infamously cleared then Governor Arjuna Mahendran of any wrongdoing, but insisted on an investigation into Perpetual Treasuries Limited, which they said was not within their remit. At the time that the report was handed in to President Sirisena 2 years ago, various activists were aghast that then Presidential Secretary Austin Fernando decided to archive the report. However, 106 pages of the report, said to contain sensitive information, has never ever been made public. In the report, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry determined the government suffered an avoidable loss of 688,762,100 rupees. The Commission determined that former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran was liable and responsible for this avoidable loss. The Commission also held that Perpetual Treasuries Limited, a company ultimately controlled by the Aloysius family, was also liable for that loss. The Commission recommended that appropriate proceedings be instituted against Mahendran to recover this loss. Unfortunately, Arjuna Mahendran has thus far managed to evade Sri Lanka's law enforcement authorities and remain away from Sri Lanka. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry says Arjuna Mahendran acted in collusion with Perpetual Treasuries Limited by providing them with inside information to be used at the 27th February 2015 bond auction. The operations of Perpetual Treasuries Limited remain suspended whilst investigations continue. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry recommended instituting appropriate proceedings in court for the recovery of losses from Arjuna Mahendran, Perpetual Treasuries Limited and its beneficial owners, namely Arjun Aloysius and Jeffrey Aloysius. The Commission also named the CEO of PTL, Kasun Palisena, as being responsible. Arjuna Aloysius and Kasun Palisena were arrested, remanded and then granted bail while the investigations are still taking place. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry recommended that forensic audits be carried out to ascertain the full loss and impact to the country into the bonds issued since 2015. Pursuant to the suggestions made by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, the former Central Bank Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy undertook the task of conducting forensic audits with the assistance of international firms. The completion of the forensic report saw the Monetary Board of Sri Lanka seeking the opinion of the Attorney General as to whether the reports should be made public. It was the Attorney General's opinion that the findings in the reports should be treated as having the potential to be evidence in investigations and therefore suggested that any extracts which can be in the public domain will be notified to the central bank. At the same time, the forensic audit report on the bond scam was sent to the Committee on Public Enterprise, COPE. However, before COPE could discuss the matter, Parliament was prorogued. Although the Presidential Commission was detailed in its recommendations, no legal investigation was ever carried out into the issuance of the second bond, which was carried out in 2016, which, in terms of value, was over 7 times greater than the first bond in 2015. The delay and lack of attention to the matter indicates that the scam was more deliberate and thorough than the first.